I wanted to have my friend and client Deb on to interview today because she just made 10K. Woo! 10K in 33 days. And I really love to do this when I have a client who is seeing success. I love to bring them on to like really dive into the success so that we can help other people. So thank you for being here, Deb. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Yeah. So let's do a little bit of an introduction for those who haven't met you before. Go ahead and tell the audience what it is that you do.
I am an educational medium and mentor. These groovy lights, by the way, are my northern lights I have in my office. So if you see these strange light patterns, it's just that.
Mhm.
So I'm an educational medium and mentor, and it is my mission and life's purpose to help other people step into their birthright of intuition. We're all born with it, we all have it. And so while certainly I love doing readings, my life's work is to educate other people about their own intuition and their own intuitive abilities.
Oh, I love that. And I know probably half the people are like, oh my gosh, medium, psychic, I love that. And then
Hmm.
maybe the other half are like, I don't know about this. And
Yeah,
I definitely was like that, maybe even just a couple of years ago, like 7 years ago. I was like,
yeah.
I don't know about this. So,
Hmm.
what would you say to the person who's maybe a little skeptical or a little bit like, I don't know about this? What would you have?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Healthy skepticism is good
Mhm,
because um, it's just like any other industry where you have people that are really great at what they do
mhm,
and people that maybe don't resonate with you or don't resonate with your energy. And I
mhm.
understand that. Okay. What I do is help to uplift other people. Okay. It has nothing to do with religion, it has nothing to do with any of those things.
Mhm.
We're all born with a beautiful brain, and that brain can pick up on things that are unseen. I mean, we all have Wi Fi. We can't see it, touch it, feel it, but I know my computer works.
Yes.
Okay. And intuition is much the same. Okay. So I'm able to pick up on the subtleties and nuances of other people, being able to read a room. So there are really everyday intuitive pieces that people use all the time. And when we put just a different label on it, sometimes it can make them uncomfortable. But the reality is that we're all intuitive. We can all connect with the energy of the unseen, okay, whether it's psychic intuitive, okay, or it's mediumistic. So psychic intuition is not dealing with people in spirit,
Mhm.
okay? Psychic work is your higher self, your soul self, what you can pick up on. Psychic abilities are used oftentimes by even people that work in law enforcement. Many are psychic, okay? They don't necessarily label it that way because that would be woo woo. But the reality is that we all have our spidey senses. We all have intuition. We can all connect with our loved ones that have left the physical world also. So there's a lot of different layers to what I do. But the reality is, it is not based in fear, it's based in beauty, it's based in it's based really in trust of
Mhm.
ourselves, trust in the universe, and trust in what's available to us.
Yes.
So there's a lot of different layers to what I do as an educational medium and
Mhm.
mentor.
Yeah. I love that. And I always like to address that in the beginning because a lot of times, I was just talking to somebody about this, their fear gets in the way and
Yeah,
then they don't trust in themselves. They don't trust in anything. So they're just walking around as a bundly case of fear. So if
yeah,
that is anyone and you have fear and anxiety, I invite you to continue listening because I think
yes,
you're going to get a different perspective on all of this. And that
yeah,
was my journey.
yeah,
I'm not a medium because I just decided not to be. I'm like, no, thank
right,
you. I don't
yeah,
really desire to see dead
yeah,
people. And
yeah,
some people really love it and they're into it. So I think that's
yeah,
the other thing is people don't understand. Like you have control over your psychic powers.
yeah,
You just be like, no, thanks, not today. And
yeah,
so you get to decide what is for you and what is not for you. And that's completely okay. Yeah.
absolutely.
So let's talk about your business, a little bit of history of kind of how we started working together. Let's introduce that. And then we'll talk about your current results of making 10K in 33 days. But I
Hmm.
was just curious, where did you start and what got you to this point?
So where I started was a conversation with a friend. So a dear friend of mine, Brian, who's one of my favorite people, we were out at lunch one day, and I actually talk about this in the book that's coming up on the 22nd of April. It'll be available on Amazon, The Intuitive Entrepreneur, Deeper Connections for Soul-Driven Success. I share my story about how you and I began working together. So my friend Brian and I were having a conversation, and he said to me, he said, "You know what, Deb? I said, I've been working with Camy for a couple of years now, and I really feel like you need to meet with her, to connect with her, to see what she has available that might be able to help you grow in your mediumship in that business that you have." Because I was still working in education. I spent almost 15 years in education working with special education and at-risk youth. Okay. And so the leap for me was in that first consult call with you, and you and I met, and I was doing maybe $1,000 a month with my side business, doing mediumship readings and things like that. So you and I met, and I decided to say yes to me, even though it felt scary. Okay, you gave me the number, and I was like, oh, that's a lot at the time. Okay, and I did it anyway.
Mm.
And that was the single most important decision in changing my entire life, was saying yes to myself by saying yes to coaching with you. Because from that point forward, I still pinch myself and wonder how this is my life.
Yes. So tell the audience what your life is like now, because I see you sitting in your office that
Yes,
you didn't
yes,
have
I
before.
am. I
Yes.
know. So, I was working, bringing home $700 every 2 weeks in education. And um, you and I started working together. And as we did, all of these things kept coming into what I like to call alignment.
Mhm.
Okay. So, where we can make really big decisions with ease because they're in alignment with our value system. Okay. So you and I started working together. We began working together, I believe, in October. And then in January, I joined an international group of different light workers doing a monthly event. I then was given access to a vacation condo on Maui for 200 bucks a night. I was asked to write in a book. I've taught now in Costa Rica and Colorado. I'm teaching in Santa Fe in July. I'm teaching in Puerto Vallarta in November of this year, and in May of next year, I'm doing a retreat in Ireland and Scotland. I have my own office. I no longer work in education, and I love what I do. And so, if you had ever told me that this would be my life, um, back when I still worked in public education full time, I would have told you that you were absolutely out of your mind.
Mhm.
And it was all because I finally decided to show up for myself.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
so amazing. And I just gotta say, that is one of the scariest things. So
Hmm.
I'm curious, what did you need to believe in order to move forward saying yes to yourself?
I needed to believe that what I have to offer has value.
Hmm.
I needed to have the knowingness, okay, that my gifts, okay, are something that I'm meant to share with the world,
Yeah.
and that, you know, I'm meant to put my heart out there with
Mhm.
people and to help other people live in an empowered way. And it's so incredibly valuable and rewarding.
Amazing. So in the beginning, you started with one-on-one readings, like 30
Mhm.
minutes and an hour, and
Yep.
then you would do some workshops and some like weekend things where you did stuff for groups. And
Yes.
then at some point, we moved forward on you offering like 6-week courses and then mentorship. So I'm
Mhm.
curious, what did you need to think about yourself in order to get these higher priced items? Right? Because I think there's sometimes is a block around money and around having like a little bit of a higher price offering. So
Mhm.
I'm curious what needed to shift for you there.
Perspective. It was a perspective shift because, when I looked at what I was doing, I got to kind of thinking with you, what are the things that I can do to shift things for myself to be able to maybe one day do this full time. Okay.
Mhm.
And so you helped me shift kind of my thinking. I had some money blocks around this. I had
Mhm.
like, oh my, I'm gonna ask people like, how much you want me to ask them what? And it felt scary to me, anything over my hourly rate for a reading, I was like, ah, okay. And so I had to believe and I had to have the knowing that number one, and money is an energetic exchange.
Mhm.
Okay. Number two, that people get weird with numbers, myself included.
Yes.
Okay. And also number three, that what I have to offer is so much more valuable than this.
Yes.
Okay. And yet people spend thousands on these.
Yes. People
And
spend
so,
thousands on phones,
yes.
cars, on mortgages,
And
like
purses and
yes.
shoes and the whole nine yards. And
Yes.
so what I needed to do was to just tweak and shift that perspective
Mm.
to bring it into alignment to realize the value that I have to offer the world.
Yes. Oh, I love hearing that so much because I mean, looking at your life through mentorship, it's completely changed. I know you've
Hmm.
had clients whose lives have completely changed.
Yes.
And I think it's interesting, right? Because I think you went from like 1,000 a month to like 4 to 5,000 a month to now getting up to like 7, 8, 9, 10,000 a month.
Yes.
And so we've come up with I wrote these down, so we'll just kind of talk through them. But what I could see was 5 things that you did
Hmm.
that helped to create 10K in 33 days. And
Hmm.
also, I told everyone I'd be saying it was 33 days. It was just a little over like the end of month mark. But that's the point is that
Hmm.
we counted it. I think
Yes.
so many people are like, well, I didn't hit it, and then they allow themselves to feel defeated and discouraged instead of saying like, no, of course I hit it. It was just like 3 extra days like on the
Yes.
back end of the month, so of
Yep.
course I made 10K. And that just feels so much better than telling yourself that you failed because you made like 7K or something, right? Like,
Right.
just what we
Yeah.
do, our brains are so tricky like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with listing all of these out and then we'll talk about them, whichever one you want to talk about first. But what
Hmm.
I saw in you was the ability to have compassion and acceptance for
Hmm.
your journey. That was the first thing. Step two was you were able to set aside time to feel your feelings. And we would do that on our coaching calls where we'd feel the feelings, then we'd solve the problem. Step three, or the third thing that I saw you do was really leaning into, even though whatever is going on in your personal life, you
Hmm.
leaned into, and I have an offer, I have a business, I have a service that can really help other people. So no matter
Hmm.
what's going on in my personal life, this business is important, this offering is important. And then number four, you set aside 10 minutes a day to really feel and imagine and meditate on what it feels like to be working with a client, to sign that client, to see their breakthroughs.
Hmm.
And then number five, you showed up for yourself s-
Hmm.
com- through self care so
Yeah.
that you could take action in your business repeatedly. So those are
Yeah.
the 5 things I saw. Where would you like to start with your
Feel the
perspective?
feelings.
Mm,
I want to start with feel the feelings because, it's not the feelings that we experience that make things more of a challenge. It's a reaction to them.
yeah.
And so, and you've seen me in calls shut down before where it's like, and you'll say, "Hey, wait a second, let's work through this. Let's
Mhm.
process this together." Okay. And you've held space in a way that's allowed me to feel my feelings, which is then spilled over into me being able to allow myself to feel my feelings, okay, and not run away from them and not think, oh, here we go, we're crying again and wanting to judge, okay? And the reality is, I learned to feel the feelings in a way that is both empowering and impactful.
Yes. And what do you think the difference is? Because I used to say like if you're not crying in your business, what are you even doing? Do you even have a business? And
Right.
somebody took that where like, yeah, but I'm crying every day and I'm not making money. Like, so what do you think the difference is between processing it in a useful way
Hmm.
and then processing it in a way that allows you to stay like in the pitiful story, in the victim story? What do you think the
Hmm.
difference is?
I think the difference is a mindset shift and honestly using all of the tools that are available to you,
Mhm,
okay? Like a coach or mentor,
mhm,
like somatic movement, like staying with the breath,
mhm,
like yoga, like positive affirmations, okay? So I'm able to process in a way that is authentically me,
mhm.
okay? And, I've done some things even health wise for myself that have helped me move the needle because mental health is also health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you've learned how to not be afraid of the feelings. So you're no
Yes.
longer trying to resist and push them down. And you're
Because
also no
that's the
longer
thing.
judging.
Like it's our resistance that's
Yes.
the issue. It's
Yes.
not the feeling. It's not the feeling of, oh wow, I'm really overwhelmed. This is really hard.
Mhm.
It's our reaction to it.
Yes.
It's the wanting to run away.
Yes. Or it's the wanting to push through. So what I've noticed,
Yeah.
especially for those of us who are like high achievers or we're driven or we really want the goal, like we really want the 10K, whatever the goal
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're like, no, I don't want to talk about these feelings. I want to talk about this business.
Hmm.
And what I've seen you be so gracious at is when I do say, hey, let's sit with this emotion for 5 minutes.
Hmm.
And then you're able to sit with it and then it clears out. And then all of a sudden we have clarity on the other side. We have an openness,
Yes.
we have a softness.
Yes.
And so I'm just reminding the people you're a great example of that. And it really only takes 5 to 8 minutes,
Yeah.
truly, to say, I'm feeling
And
this feeling. Let me get through it.
yeah, and what I want to say also is, you're talking about softness and
Mhm.
we've been taught as women, how do you be, oh well, you have to be a girl boss. You have to this, you have to that. And it's almost like we're being asked to emulate male behavior to be successful. And we don't need to do that. We can soften, we can love, we can come at it from a place of intention, intuition, and honor that is so much more and so much greater than the sum of um, male dominance,
Yes.
than the sum of you have to do it this way. You need to be aggressive. Get in the game. Get in the game. Get your head in there. Your feelings don't matter. But. And so we've I guess dulled our shine a bit, I think, as women, because, we're taught the whole there's no crying in baseball thing. But
Right.
the reality is, the women that are crying, the women that are working through it, the women that are taking time working with an intuitive mentor or coach, okay, they're the ones that are succeeding.
Hmm.
And can you pull off the girl boss in a great suit and heels? You sure can. And I'm not
Hmm.
shaming that. But for me, I need that softness. I need the nurturing. I need the divine feminine, okay, in what I do. I've had enough of um other types of energy. I need the divine feminine. And, you know, it shows up so readily in you, which then ignites my light and allows me to carry that flame to other women that are growing and succeeding in life.
Yes. I'm so glad
Yeah.
you brought that up. And for the listeners listening, when we're talking about divine feminine and divine masculine, it is the energy that's within all of us. So we're not necessarily saying male or female.
Mm.
We're saying there's an energy. So the masculine energy is like hustle, do more, do more, do more, do more. And then the feminine is like, I trust, I have faith, I believe, like I've done enough. I done what I said I was going to do today. Now I'm going to sit back and have faith and have trust and take care of myself because I deserve
Yes.
it. And so
Yeah.
it's that energy that I think I see in all business owners, myself included, that we can lean to the masculine. And
Hmm.
then that's when we're leaning into burnout, leaning into hustle. It's feeling really hard. We're very exhausted.
Yeah.
Or we're leaning into that heart space.
Right.
And so for you, I'm curious because I think a lot of people listening are like, okay, cool, great. Now what do I do? Right.
Right.
So
Right.
because that's how our brains are. We're like, yeah, feminine, sure, yeah, 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 believe, believe. But then
Hmm.
everyone's like, but what do I do now? So
Right.
I'm curious for you, like, how were you able to turn this softness and this self-acceptance and the ways that you manage your emotions?
Hmm.
How were you then able to translate that into going out there, doing your marketing, doing your sales, like doing the business things that are required to
Hmm.
actually create revenue?
Right. Because I'm doing it from my heart space.
Mhm.
Okay. When I am creating content, when I am approaching clients, it's all from here.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the things that you've taught so well is, how do I add value to the world?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So instead of, you know, having a tight grip like this on financial situations, I need to get into, how do I show up more authentically for my clients?
Yes.
How do I embrace all the different parts of who I am in a way that's going to have impact for my clients and my world? And you really get your head off of the financial piece of it
Mm.
and into the energy of creation and flow.
Yes.
And you can't put a dollar sign on that.
Yeah.
And when you work at it that way, the money shows up as a byproduct.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the main goal. So
Yes.
when I think about creating 10K months,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think about, how do I add value to my client base? How do I add value to the people that I'm helping? Okay. And when I come at it from that perspective, as I said, the financial piece ends up being a byproduct of
Yes.
the work.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is like, don't want the 10K money
Yes.
more than you want the connection, the
Yes.
opportunity to serve, the opportunity to show up because you know that it's giving value to the world.
100%.
Yes.
Yep.
So good. And I think we could all use that reminder. So let's talk about this then, and I'll give you my perspective too.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of people that will be like, well, that's why I don't set goals. I don't set money goals
Hmm.
because then I get too attached to the money goal.
Hmm.
So what would you say has worked for you? Because we've set big goals,
Yeah.
but I've seen you be able to hold the goal,
Yep.
also lean into the value. So what would you say the difference is between somebody who's like, no, I don't set goals, I can't because it stresses me
Hmm.
out, I get too attached, and
Hmm.
then I'm just thinking about the money. How are
Hmm.
you able to drop in, even if you're going after a big goal, how are you able to drop in and get to the connection?
Having someone else's perspective.
Mhm.
That's where the coaching piece is absolutely critical to this, because there are times that I just can't get out of my own way.
Yeah.
And I work with my own clients doing mentoring as well in intuition. And, you know, it's really an issue of, focus, of focused attention. Where's the attention going to be? And, we can try to miracle ourselves to the top of the heap of success, okay? But it doesn't always work that way. And so, it's important for me to have supports in place that can get me there when I can't,
Yeah.
okay? Because the reality is, as women and as humans, men too, okay, we can't always get where we need to go. That's when we bring in the reinforcements. That's when we bring in our Camys, okay? Because and our Debs, you and I work in
Mhm.
different ways, but the reality is that sometimes you need to bring in outside help.
Yeah.
You need to call the cavalry and say, hey, wait a second. I can't get out of my own way. And so, when I'm having challenges in things and we have our coaching calls and stuff, for me, it's a godsend. It's like, I can't wait because I know that you are going to hold space for me of the belief so that you can remind me of the belief in
Yes.
myself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the beauty, because you don't teach some nonsense guru thing. It's, you help to ignite the flame of women, especially. You help them to light that inner flame so that they can continue to be a light in their own world. Okay. So the answer is, there is no perfect answer. I can't miracle myself out of overwhelm
Mm-hmm.
ever or all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
what I can do, what I do have, the resource that's in my portfolio, in my life, that's critically important, is investing in coaching.
Yes. So
Yeah.
good. I love that. I'm like, of course, that's what it
Yeah.
is. And also, I'll break it down into the process that we use so that people can understand. Because I think I spend a lot of time having conversations about coaching because
Yes.
people don't know until they know. And
Oh,
especially if you've
yeah.
never had a coach before, like people don't know until they know. So
Hmm.
the way that I'll kind of address this is what I've seen with, and this has happened to me too. Like I'll set big goals and I'll get very attached. and I'll kind of get like very attached, like I want it and I want it for me and I want it now. Um, like kind of like toddler energy, like I want it now,
Yes.
or teenager,
Mhm.
bratty teenager energy, just one of those.
Yeah.
And so that can happen, but the way to get out of it is to be able to create safety to slow down and to create sufficiency to slow down. And
Hmm.
so what I see in coaching is a co-regulation mechanism where we're
Yes.
like, let's breathe,
Yep.
let's calm down. And
Yep.
a lot of times we'll do some root chakra work because we know
Yep.
that that's the safety mechanism.
Yep.
And then we'll use some breath, we'll tap into whatever's here, we'll name it, we'll
Hmm.
call on higher self, right? We might do
Yep.
some light hypnosis. So those are some of the practical ways. We also might do some EFT tapping. We
Yes.
might, do a little bit of energy work. Like that
Mhm.
might be the thing that is necessary.
Right.
And then on the flip side, I just had a client say something to me. She's more cerebral, less intuitive, more cerebral. And she said, "Do we really have to feel everything? Like, do we really have to like be with our emotions?" And I was like, "You don't have to. You can
Hmm.
choose a thought that's like, I'm choosing to show up today because my work is important. You don't
Hmm.
necessarily have to process all the emotions, but I usually say, but them emotions are going to catch up with you at some point and someday. Like, maybe not today,
Yep.
but like at some point they're going to want to be felt and like they're calling, they're knocking on
Yep.
the door. So you
Yeah,
might as
they
well just
are.
feel them." Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's I think that's an interesting perspective to think about is like we can flow in and out of scarcity, we can flow in and out of abundance,
Hmm.
but the consistency of having the accountability, the safety, the coaching, of course, is going to support and help people.
Absolutely.
And help recognize your wins and your breakthroughs too. Because
Yeah,
I
because
think
that's
we
the other
yeah,
thing. Like, we don't celebrate. Like, we're
yes.
just, and, growing up for me, I was taught that celebrating wasn't safe just
Hmm.
because, it's kind of like the other shoe drops, or,
Yes.
oh, you're gonna jinx it. Like,
Yes.
remember when you heard that when we were
Yep.
growing up as kids? Oh, you're gonna jinx it.
Yep.
Like that kind of mentality. But really, it's about being able to have someone hold space for you and being able to be, more expansive in your world.
Yes. So good. All right, let me check in here and see what else we've got. So, tell me about the 10 minutes a day where you started feeling on purpose. Tell me what your process was
Yes.
like.
So, it was messy because am I doing this right? Am I this? Am I that? And, we're taught so much about meditation, about how that's really the only thing that can help us rewire our brains.
Mhm.
And I've talked to doctors of psychology about this. It's truly the only way. And so, I thought that my meditation needed to look like a certain way, and I run into this with my own clients as well. You think meditation has to look a certain way. You have to be, crisscross applesauce on the carpet, blissing out, chanting for an hour a day.
Mhm.
And that just doesn't happen. Okay. And so what I did do was I learned to think about how it feels in my business for 10 to 15 minutes a day, how wonderful it feels when I sign a new client, a new mentoring client.
Mhm.
Okay. And what I do is I bring to mind the memories of the first time I signed a 6-month client, the
Yes.
first time I signed a 3-month client, and what it feels like. I actually picture the scenario in my mind, and I think about that for about 10 minutes a day. And what it does is it continues to open doors.
Mhm.
And then I find more people want to connect with me, and more people want to connect, and more people want to connect. And so having the 10 minutes of that intentional thought each day dedicated to the business, because I don't know about you, but this isn't all I do every day, all day.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
But 10 minutes of intentional time on my life's purpose, on helping other people step into their own intuition. It gives me full body chills when I sign a client because I know that their life is about to change in such an incredibly empowering way.
Yes.
And so we know that everything is frequency, okay? Radio stations are frequency. Wi-Fi is frequency. You can't see it, but you sure know it works,
Yes.
okay? Intuition is no different.
Yes.
And so it's been such a wonderful and incredible journey to spend that 10 minutes a day
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, you know, signing new 6 month clients or clients that I've signed in the past, and just thinking about the butterflies in the belly.
Yes.
Okay. Because where people drop the ball on manifesting a lot is that they don't feel the feelings.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that I talk about in the upcoming book is a skill that you taught me, which is the virtual vision boarding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we want the feelings, those yummy feelings, to be engaged. So dedicating the 10 minutes a day of what it feels like to sign a new client or sell a piece of real estate or, make a connection that's going to get kind of the financial juices flowing, spending 10 minutes a day thinking about an amazing deal that you've brokered or
Mm-hmm.
something that you've done. Just 10 minutes is
Yes.
all it takes
Yes.
to open those floodgates of creation,
Yes.
because it's about feelings and frequency. And we've just got to make sure that they're in alignment in order for us to move forward in an empowered way. And things do come into alignment,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have that outside person to offer you perspective. But
Mm-hmm.
that 10 minutes a day thinking about ideal clients and about what it feels like when I signed certain clients, that's my meditation around my business.
So
Is
easy.
Yeah, it's a piece
Yeah.
of cake. You can do it in your car. You
Mm-hmm.
can do it, while you're sitting on the couch. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have to look a certain way. You just have to do it.
Yes. And I find that when people don't believe, if they
Yep.
already don't believe, then they also won't do the meditation.
Right.
If they're
Mhm.
open to believing, then they would be open to doing the meditation because why not?
Yeah.
What I always say is like, if it's not expanding my consciousness, I don't want it. So, like,
Yes.
everything I do is for the sole purpose of expanding my consciousness. That's why I'm a life coach. I'm like, well, I'm
Right.
here to grow and learn and teach and expand. And
Yes.
so there are times when I don't believe. I don't believe the shit I'm saying. And
Yep.
I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah.
But I'm like, but when I believe it, I feel
Yes.
so much better. And
Yep.
it's like, so I would just rather believe it. I'd rather believe that I have spiritual support. I'd rather believe that things are working out for me. Because when I don't believe it, it just feels horrible and it's suffering.
And it's messy and yucky
Yes.
and gray and bleh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes it's okay. We get stuck, we get there, and we get the help we
Yeah.
need, whether it's therapy, whether it is medication, whether it's life coaching, breath work, somatics, whatever it is. We're all
Mhm.
going to go through seasons. So we're not expecting to be here all the time,
Right.
but we seek the support that we need whenever we're going through something.
Yeah,
I love that.
indeed. Love
Okay.
it.
All right. So I'm going to see if there's anything else here. Um, all right. Any specific actions for marketing? Like, is there any tricks of the trade that you want to let people know? I think I'd like to ask you a little bit about social media and then
Hmm.
maybe a little bit about your in-person stuff because a lot of my clients are very dramatic about social media.
Hmm.
You and I have talked about it a little bit. So I would just love to know, like, how have you simplified your marketing in order to create clients?
So I've really simplified it in just deciding what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So deciding that I'm going to send one email campaign a week
Mm-hmm.
and one post a day.
Mm-hmm.
Just keeping it basic. Because the reality is most people who are great at what they do are not getting loads of clients from their social media posts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're getting it from referral business. They're
Mm-hmm.
getting it from one-to-one interactions. So don't worry about likes and shares, okay? Keep putting the content out there. It's the energy of creation, the energy of flow that creates more abundance, okay? I actually get a lot more from people from my email, sending an email campaign than I do social media. And
Yep.
I know one person that has, a six-figure social media following,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't have any revenue stream from it.
Yep.
Okay. So the likes and shares, is it kind of neat to look at? Sure, but it doesn't have a whole lot to do with your bottom line.
Yes.
Okay. It's the interactions that you're having with clients that are going to move the needle. It's the client that just left your office so excited and satisfied that they're going to tell all their friends,
Yes.
and so it has value. But also, I've learned to, when I get a thought in my head, put it into notes on my phone. So on a day where I need to okay, I need to post one thing on social media today, and I'm not feeling it, I can go into my notes on my phone and cut and paste
Hmm.
and just create something. Okay. So likes and shares, stop watching. You're going to make yourself crazy. You're going to
Yeah.
make yourself nuts. Um, and just operate from your heart space
Yes.
and make your content authentic. People want to know what it's like for you. They want to know how you do business, who you are,
Mhm.
because really they're investing in what you have to offer, not just the thing itself. They need to
Yes.
know that you're going to support and hold space for them in a way that's profound.
Yes. So
Yeah.
good. So you just made it sound so easy. Everybody go make 10K. It's so
Yeah.
easy. Is there anything else you want to add for our listeners? Anything else that that you're thinking of that's like, I really think they should know this in terms of mindset, um, to be able to grow their business?
Let me think. I think it's really about just doing the thing,
Hmm.
just showing up for yourself,
Yeah.
just having awareness, and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
That's going to be so, so critically important for
I think
people.
awareness is step one for everything. Most people don't realize what they're thinking and how they're feeling is
Yeah.
creating the results that they have.
Yeah,
So we first need
absolutely.
to find out, like, what are you thinking? What are you telling
Yep.
yourself each day? What vibration are you in? And then
Yeah,
how can we shift out of it? And
absolutely.
I'm going to close us out with this book called The Power. This
Woohoo!
is one of my favorite books by Rhonda Byrne, same author as The Secret. And the power is the power of love. So I'm going to read you a quick excerpt here. It says, people who have great lives talk more about what they love. By doing so, they gain unlimited access to all the good in life, and they are free as birds that soar in the sky. To have a great life, break the bars of the cage that is jailing you, give love, talk only about what you love, and love will set you free. I
Mhm.
love that reminder.
How beautiful.
Yes. And so, anybody listening here, the intention is for you to shift 1% into more love, more desire, more faith, more trust. And if you need support and help, Deb and I are both here. Deb, why don't you tell them about your book that's coming out? Tell them where to find you and how to connect with you.
Sure. So you can find me at debdecelle.com. It's DebDecelle.com. And the book that's coming out is dropping on the 22nd of April. It's called The Intuitive Entrepreneur: Deeper Connections for Soul-Driven Success. I am a lead author that is accompanied by 21 co-authors. So there are 22 of us all together, and the book drops on April 22nd. How fun!
Amazing.
And it's really about entrepreneurs who have used intuition in their business
Mhm.
or do use intuition in their business.
Mhm.
So there is a whole host of perspectives from, light workers and healers and business people. And it's really such a beautiful collaboration that's near and dear to my heart because we talk about how to show up for yourself in a way that is helpful. And it's wonderful too because there's a tool in each chapter. So you're
Mhm.
not going to be bored, number one, by just listening to me talk. Okay.
Mhm.
And also, it gives you a practical tool or a practical skill that you can use to help build your business. And there are 22 different individuals and opportunities in this body of work
Mhm.
to uplift, overcome, and create something truly, truly magical. I'm so proud of this body of work. It'll be available on Amazon. Our cover artist and the artist for the book is incredible. He actually worked with David Bowie for 7 years. So I am beyond excited and cannot wait to hold a copy in my hands. And it is my fervent, fervent hope, Camy, as you're part of my story in that this is going to change the life and work of so many, many people. And I'm beyond excited.
Yes. And I love having all the stories in there from different people because you get
Yeah.
to see yourself in the stories. You get to see the collaboration over competition. And what I always say is like, there's plenty for all of us. There's
Yeah.
abundance for all of us, and we collaborate and partner together. There's so much more. We uplift one another. We uplift the community, and
Yep.
we're raising the vibration of the entire planet right now by the work that
Yeah,
we're doing.
absolutely. Because, collaboration has taken me places that competition never, ever, ever will.
Yes.
And how remarkable is that?
So amazing. Thank you so much for being on here, Deb. I know you give so much great information to everyone. This is going to be inspiring, and they're going to want to reach out to you. So thank you so, so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
thank you. All
You're welcome.
right.
Bye.
Bye.